I said, just can't be here, Dad. So I'm here, and I'm a runner stream for her, cause I got a lot of extra time on my hands right now while I'm trying to beat this double murder. But I'm gonna take over for her, and I want to talk about how I did in court today, cause I think I did good. I really do. There was, I don't want to. This gets a little embarrassing, okay? But there was one juror, she just kept kind of giving me the eye, just the eye, and I could tell that she kind of, just liked me. But anyway, I, I don't even know what to say. I mean, this Mr. Walters he wants me to keep saying over and over that I lied to people and I stole their money, and I did. I've told him that. I've told everybody that. I lied to people that trusted me. I looked them in their eye. Well, some of them, sometimes. I mean, I'm pretty sure I looked them in the eye. I'm not sure. But I looked them in the eye and I lied to them and I stole their money. Okay? And I know I did that. I said I did that. But I didn't commit no murders. Was I mad at Paul for taking my boat? Yeah, heck yeah. Was I mad that he was about to cost me, $30 million? Yes, but that don't mean that I'm going to kill him. I wanted to. I thought about it for a long time, but that don't mean that I did it. And then Max, I mean, all you really have to do is ask Roro about this, because he knows how I felt about my family. I cared about him. I mean, I lied to him. I lied to him like I did everybody else. But if there's ever a time to believe me, it's now. The time is now. Because, I'm admitting what I did financially to people that I still care about to this day. I still care about Papa and Magma. But that didn't mean that they didn't have to go. Or, I mean, I'm sorry, what did I just say? Sir? Mr. Waters. See, Mr. Waters keeps asking these same questions. He's confusing me. I didn't know I didn't know what you meant. When you said okay, so they didn't have to go. I'm just saying, they went to the kennels. They go to the kennels. And then I went to my mama's house to check on her. Maggie, I did ask her to come over, but then I wasn't really sure if she was gonna come over. But then she did, and I know I said, that she was supposed to go with me to my mom's, but she didn't. Okay, but when I got back home, she was dead. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't even know what happened. I did lie about being at the kennels. I mean, it just, I know I carry around a badge and all that, and I know I said that, it makes law enforcement feel more comfortable around me. But, I'm still afraid of them. I'm still afraid of them. Just because they had to take down my granddaddy's, picture out this courthouse, don't mean that I'm above the law. It's not what it means. So, I had a pocket full of pills. I didn't want to tell the popo, the truth about Paw and Mags and Ro. I didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? So I just started, lying. And then I had to keep lying. I'm just telling y'all now. I'm being honest. I feel like I'm being very, very honest. And again, just ask the people around us. I mean, y'all already have. Y'all already know. And they know that I would never, ever, ever do anything to hurt my family or lie about it. even though I've lied a lot, I would agree it was a lot. Mr. Walters said it was a lot, and if that's what it said on his paper, then that's what it is. I lied a lot, but I assume that if I tell the truth about all my financial stealings, that y'all will believe me that I didn't kill my family over money, because that's where I draw the line. Um, I don't know who else could have did it, and I wasn't worried about my security or Buster's security afterwards. But it wasn't me. That's what I know. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Oh, Jess is here. I didn't even know. Hey, how you doing, girl? I didn't even know she was coming. I'm gonna go ahead and head back to my cell now, and I see y'all on Monday morning back in court, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, because there's a couple jurors I got. Or all right, I shouldn't say that. All right, I'll see y'all on Monday. Bye.
Sure. That was a lot. So thanks, Alec. Thanks, Alec Murdaugh, for stopping in and giving his commentary for how he thought he did in court today. Is this rigged? I'm going to come right out with this question. I'm not big on conspiracy theories, okay? But there's so many there's one top question for me. I watched all of Alec, whatever, in court today and yesterday. And it just seems like the prosecution, I understand why Mr. Walters is having him say over and over and over again that he's a liar, that he looked these people in the face, still stole their money from them, still says he cares about them. But I feel like there were so many missed opportunities. How come he didn't? I was waiting for him to say, so you looked those people in the eye and stole their money, and you sit here today and say that you still care about them just like you did Paul and Maggie, right? Because you cared about them too. And just as you snatched their life away, you looked into their eyes, and you're going to sit here today and tell us you still care about it. I was waiting for him to give a zinger like that. And of course there would have probably been some objections and stuff, but at least start hammering him. The lying, I think, has been proven. He's admitted it. He's lied over and over. So now it's time to tie that to the murders. And I don't know if it kind of put the prosecution off that they decided to go ahead, like the defense, when they put him on the stand and get everything out of the way. Like, you lied to SLED, you lied and said this, you lied and did that. He got it all out of the way. So I feel like Waters was kind of, day one was kind of like, he admitted to lying to everything. Okay. So he went on this long line of questioning, and it did feel drug out. But I think what bothered me the most was Alec having so much time to give answers. Because I saw Waters cut him off. I think once or twice he cut him off and said, okay, we don't need all that. We just need like a yes or a no or something. But for the most part, I feel like Alec was allowed to give so much extra. You can't give a narcissist that much time to answer a question, okay? That's what I'm saying. I think for a lot of us that have watched other things, for instance, the Murdaugh Murders podcast, and really understand how this all took place, I'm kind of biased because they put that together so well. And I don't know if the prosecution is putting it together as well. I mean, is it possible that this jury could be bought off? Heck yeah. With the players in this courtroom, for sure. I mean, I'll just remind you guys of Alec's little smirk when a bomb threat was called in. He just got this little smirk on his face. And it's just, the power is real. The corruption is real. Dick Harpootlian is an ex-senator, for Christ's sake. He is. He is an ex-senator, and he's representing Alex Murdaugh in this case. It's just concerning to me. It really is. And, you don't know with these small towns what connections people have. Alec, was obviously very good per Shelley Smith's testimony with saying to her, threatening and offering at the same time. Saying to her, oh, yeah, I know that school district you work for. I know the principal there. If you need any help with your wedding, if you need any help, So there's a threat of, I'm good friends with your boss. And then there's the bribe of, but I'll help you out. You want to move up, you need help with your wedding, whatever. So I don't know I know that the jury process was pretty intense. They had to vet these people. And I believe that one of the questions was, do you know Alex Murdaugh or his family? And I believe that they tried to weed out everyone that knew them or whatever. But again, these are just such small towns, small counties. And it just at times feels like watching this trial is different from watching other trials. It just sort of, I don't want to say kangaroo court because I feel like that's disrespectful to the judge. And I like Judge. I like Judge Newsom. I like him. He's a nice guy. I feel like he's fair. And I feel like he's balanced what he should be. But there's just something, the way that the lawyers themselves conduct business, so to speak, is just so different from any other trials that I've watched. It's odd. The way they get up next close to the witness. I know that there's spacing issues, but they literally stand right next to them. That's intimidating, guns being held up in court and all this kind of stuff. But I'm just wondering, why didn't the prosecution hammer him home? You got exactly what you wanted. You got the suspect on the stand. It's time to drive it all the way home, tie it all the way together. How his financial crimes tied into the murders. And I'm struggling with that. I think the most compelling part was, all of his lies, and how willing he was. Even when he was doing well financially, Alec didn't really miss any opportunities to steal from people. So it didn't matter if he was high on the hog or not. He was just stealing just to do it. And it, that speaks volumes about him. But it really speaks to his love of money and his greed, and how far he will go for that almighty dollar, which was far, very far. I think that him being emotional clouds people's judgments a little bit. But you have to remember that everything that this guy has said has been lies, continuous lies from everyone, from his coworkers, his friends, his family, lies. But the people that knew for sure, per him and Paul's text message, was Paul and Maggie. They knew about his drug use. They knew about it, and I don't think that's why he killed them. I think that was annoying to him. I think that probably got on his nerves. But it was the money. It was all about that money. I mean, he talked about the substantial equity that's in Moselle that was solely in Maggie's name. He talked about the little bit of equity that was in the Edison beach house that Maggie was staying in. They own that together, so obviously he would need her signature, which she was stalling on giving that signature and didn't want to give that signature. So when she dies, all of that is solely now his. I feel like people are missing that point. And then Paul being a thorn in his side. That boating accident was everything. The boating accident, in my opinion, was the beginning of the end for Paul in Alex's mind. And I think once the case came, where they were being sued, I think he decided then. I think that's why, and this is my speculation, I think that's why he said to his sister in law, whoever did this has been thinking about it for a long time. Because I think he's been thinking about it since being sued. Hi. God, that's really hard to read. Uh, Dusu. Dusu. Hi. Just saw a news article regarding Alex Murdaugh testifying in court. I didn't know anything about the case, so I'm interested to hear your take. But why kill the son, too? Well, the son had gotten into a boating accident about 3 years ago. And, well, I say boating accident, but he was boating while drunk. So he was drunk. He was driving this boat extremely erratically. He had an alter ego, I guess, when he drank, named Timmy. Timmy would take off his clothes. Timmy would do really bad things. So Timmy, aka Paul Murdaugh, was driving this boat with 5 passengers on it. He wrecked it into Archer's Bridge, I think, or Archer's Creek, Archer's Bridge. He wrecked it. And one of the females that were on the boat, Mallory Beach, went flying out of the boat. They found her body, I believe, 8 days later. She was dead. So the Beach family got a lawyer, Mark Kinsley, and Mark Kinsley decided to go after Paul Murdaugh, Buster Murdaugh, Maggie Murdaugh. He decided to go after all of them financially. So because Paul was only 19 and they had let him drink, they knew he was drinking. Buster, had let him allegedly use his ID to go and get beer and stuff like that. So I think that Alec was really angry with Paul. He was already robbing, and he was actually borrowing money from people, stealing it from other people to pay it back. And then here's his son that takes his boat in the middle of the night with his friends and accidentally kills a girl. And now he's being sued for it. So again, Maggie and Paul both being killed for financial reasons, just different financial reasons. Paul, because he was going to be taking away Alex's money, and Maggie, because Maggie wouldn't submit to, the houses. She wouldn't sign over the beach house. She was on to him about pills and stuff like that. And with her out of the way, there would be nothing standing in the way of Alec getting his hands on all this money from the properties and potentially trying to save his own butt, I guess, and pay off some of the monies that have been stolen. But it's so much. But yeah, there was no one else there, literally no one. The guns were family guns. Have they been found? No, he got rid of them, obviously. But there was nobody else on the property. You know, there just wasn't. And he lied right from the gate and said, I wasn't at the kennels. He kept saying that over and over. And it was just a total lie. I mean, he was there minutes on a Snapchat that his son was recording. He didn't realize, I guess, that Buster was recording a Snapchat. But Buster and Maggie's phones went dead at like 8:49, or locked screened for the last time. I'm sorry, they didn't go dead. They locked screens for the last time at 8:49 p.m. Paul had taken the Snapchat at 8:44 p.m. So at 8:44 p.m., Paul, Maggie, and Alex are all at the kennels. Maggie and Paul's phone, both of their phones lock screens for the last time at 8:49, and they were never turned on again after that. So they're estimating that time of death, around there. So do you think this was a crime of passion or planned premeditation? Sometimes there's obvious answers, the correct one. Yeah. I think he planned it somewhat, but Alex seemed, by the people that knew him, the way they described him, a very chaotic person, a very on the fly type of person, off the cuff type person. I don't know how much planning he did. I believe his saying to his sister in law, whoever did this thought about it a lot. I believe there was probably a lot of thought of wanting to get rid of them, but I don't know how much planning he did. Obviously the guns, he got rid of them. He got rid of his clothing that he was wearing. But other than that, I just don't know how long he planned this, um, or how in depth he planned it. Because he's very good at talking in circles, just kind of talking around and around and around. The prosecution would ask him a simple question, like your family's prominent, which his family's very prominent in Hampton County, South Carolina. And he just dances all around this question to where you just get frustrated. And I was listening to a guy earlier who's been in the courtroom every day. He's not like mainstream media, but he's been like giving updates on the jurors and just kind of their reactions. And Court TV, I guess, reported that a juror was crying, and he said this was absolutely not true. Like, they don't even know why they're saying that, because that's just, nobody was crying. So, but he said that one juror just seemed over it today. Like, Alec constantly, repeating the question back to the prosecutor and just sort of taking forever to give a straightforward answer. This man is so crazy evasive. It's disgusting, really. Like, but he has this insane southern charm. It's there. Like, I can't stand this guy. Honestly, like, looking at him just creeps me out, and his voice makes me laugh. But there's this weird charm about him that you really do kind of feel like he's just this good old boy, always a liar, and he's this and that. But I really can't see him killing Paul, and Mag, and it's like, but you have to remember that this is a con artist. This is what they do. They manipulate and they lie, and they will lie until the wheels fall off. I mean, I think was it today? It was such long testimony yesterday and today. But I don't know if it was today where he was saying that this was the first time, I think it was today, that he said that he was being open publicly about lying about all of this stuff. So there's friends and family and stuff like that are hearing him say this stuff for the first time out loud. That he was at those kennels, that he did steal from all these people. This has to be, I don't think that they are completely unaware of who Alec is, but it has to be shocking just to sit there and watch your brother or watch your dad, just lie. And then talk about the other lies he's told. The guy that watches the jurors, he was really, really interesting to me because he said that the most telling person in the Murdaugh family was John Martin's wife. John Martin is Alec Murdaugh's brother. And I guess he said that John Martin's wife doesn't seem to be on the same page with the rest of the family. That while they were showing pictures of like them celebrating and stuff, that she refused to look at the pictures. And this guy also said that um she, what did he say? Something about she was very emotional. That she would get really emotional over Paul and Maggie. But that she just did not look very happy with Alec. So he said that that's the one family member that he's been like sort of watching to gauge her reaction, because she doesn't seem to be, like full on the Alec Murdaugh train. So I thought that was interesting because John Martin was very, very close to Paul. I guess Paul spent a lot of time. I think he stayed with him. He worked for him. I think he was very, very close to him. That was his nephew. Um, and John Martin is kind of described like Paul Murdaugh when he was younger, like the black sheep of the family, pretty much. So it's kind of interesting that his wife would be the one that is given a side eye. So I wonder if he's a serial liar. Oh, I absolutely think he's a pathological liar. There's no doubt about it. All you got to do is listen to his own testimony. He'll tell you, like, he's literally a pathological liar. What else is he hiding? That's what I'm wondering. I don't think we know it all. I don't think we know it all at all yet. The money that he stole, he admitted it in court today that all of it didn't go to pills. And it couldn't have. If it did, the guy would be dead. I'm telling you, nobody is doing that much opiates to, and just staying alive. Even though he did say that he would have like pocketfuls of pills and he'd be doing pills all the time. And I mean, maybe he was, but not $60,000 worth anyway. I just think that was just absurd. And people that know anything about that kind of addiction, you kind of like laugh at that. Like, come on, at least talk to some actual addicts and get an idea of something before you start pretending to fully be one. I mean, I think that he did take pills. I think he did do stuff like that, but I don't think it was to the extent that he's making it. And that's just my opinion. Could be totally wrong. I don't know. But either way, I was sitting there watching the trial today and I was thinking to myself, sorry, why isn't Mr. Waters really hammering it home? Bring it home. Knock it out of the park. Get in his face. Say to him, you stole from those people that you still say you care about, just like you stole Paul and Maggie's life as they looked you in the eye. Say something. I wanted to see him hit a home run that way, but I don't know. It just, the whole thing feels weird to me. Like this guy's going to walk free somehow, and it just, the only one I feel that is not corrupt in any way is the judge. I don't know why I feel like that. But, I keep reminding myself, here's the thing. The prosecutor today was talking about how he had tried a case, I should say, with Alec Murdaugh's dad. He knew the guy, said he was a great guy. This is an open court. And I'm like, what the hell? Okay, so you're over here. You're the prosecutor. You're trying to put this guy away for a double homicide. And you're talking about how you tried cases with his dad. I just don't see why that should have been in court. Why? What does that matter to anything? Showing his prominence again? I'm not really sure. Oh, hi, Mary. Mary is saying, with my God, if he used that much, he would be dead. Exactly. And why didn't he just OD instead of paying someone to shoot him? Exactly. Have you guys ever watched Cousin Eddie? I mean, I'm sure you guys have at this point, right? Because I don't believe Alex Murdaugh for 2 seconds I believe Cousin Eddie. I don't think that Cousin Eddie should be sitting in jail right now. I really don't. Unless you guys know more than I do. But when I watched Cousin Eddie, I was like, oh, this seems right up Alec Murdaugh's alley. You guys want to watch him with me real quick or no? Because I kind of want to watch him now. Hold on. Let me bring him up. Because Alec at first said that he was changing his tire. He calls 911 and says, and he's all calm. And he says he was changing his tire. Somebody just came up behind him, hit him in the head. Right? And he's all calm, like shot in the head, So the lady's like, oh, well, were you shot? And he said, yes, I think I was. It was just so crazy. But Cousin Eddie has something. They call him Cousin Eddie for a reason, but his name is Curtis. Hold on. I'm going to pull this up. My laptop. It's Curtis Eddie Smith. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is the one I want to watch. All right, hold on a second. I really plan on playing this, but we can because I want to watch Cousin Eddie. I'm kind of mad we didn't see him at the trial. I know there could have been credibility issues, but even so, I would believe him over Alex Murdaugh, okay? Because he's just more believable. So anyway, let's pull this up. Is there a reason that my sound is off? Okay, hold on. My sound is for some reason. Let me fix this. Okay. Is there a reason my sound is off? I'm a little confused. Hang on a second. Why this is muted? All right. So this is
alleged fraud involving a prominent South Carolina family. Attorney Alex Murdaugh is charged with himself killed in order to get $10 million in insurance money for now 3 months earlier his wife and to death. Still unsolved at this time. But his lawyer tells WHNS TV that Murdaugh is a kill them. Murdaugh told investigators we have to follow along to Nikki Batiste. It's a 48 hours interview.
You've been called the hillbilly hitman. How does that make you feel?
I laugh at it. I really do.
Curtis Smith says it was September 4th when his friend, South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh, called claiming he needed help. Smith says Murdaugh was like a brother to him, so he didn't think twice, getting to meet him. When Smith arrived on a stretch of road, he says Murdaugh emerged from his car holding a gun.
He's down there with like this. He said, yeah, you take care of this. I said, well, I can't do it. And he told me he turned his head. I just grabbed his arm, put it behind his head, took the gun from him.
Smith claims during that struggle, the gun went off. Then he disposed of the weapon.
He wanted me to kill him.
To make it look like a suicide.
Yeah. Ain't happening.
Of course, Curtis is like anybody else. Are you insane? What are you doing?
Johnny McCoy is Smith's lawyer.
Made sure he couldn't kill himself. No crime. No crime.
If I hadn't took the gun, I don't know what he would have done. That's simple.
After the struggle, Smith says he ran off and went home.
How were you feeling as this was happening as you're driving away?
Mad, scared. All at one time.
No crime was committed.
Right. Some people would think, well, he tried to kill himself.
Is that a crime?
No, I guess, or he called 911. Some people think call 911 because it's.
But the gun got taken out of his hand. Why on earth would you call the police, let alone on Alex Murdaugh, with nothing? What are you going to say? Hey, this guy was suicidal.
But Murdaugh's original version of the events was much different from Smith's. He initially told investigators he was changing a flat tire when a driver passed by and shot him in the head. He was taken to a nearby hospital for a superficial gunshot wound. Murdaugh now says he asked Curtis Smith to meet him on the side of the road and help him take his own life, hoping his life insurance would be paid out to his only surviving son. Murdaugh's attorney at the time of his arrest said his client was addicted to opioids and that it had taken a toll on his mental health, a fact Smith took advantage of, he says, when he agreed to take Murdaugh's life. According to Murdaugh's attorney, Murdaugh had grown more distraught in the months following his son's and wife's unsolved murder at their home in June.
Did you shoot Alex Murdaugh?
Nope.
Were you Alex Murdaugh's drug dealer?
Nope.
If you're guilty of anything, what is it?
Trusted too much.
Are you innocent?
Yes.
For CBS
Trusting
Morning,
too
I'm
much.
Vicky Batiste.
I think that a lot of people are a victim of Alex Murdaugh with that. A lot of people. It's just,
Carolina.
Sorry.
Number one, I'm fascinated. Nikki even got an interview with him at this particular time because his case is, still unfolding. She said,
but anyway, yeah, no, I believe Curtis, actually, because it just sounds like something Alec would do. Alec would go to kill himself, call Eddie and say, hey, I need you to come help me with a flat tire. Eddie shows up and then he's like, hey, you got to take care of this. You got to shoot me. Eddie's like, no, I'm not going to shoot you. If you actually watch that whole thing with Curtis, he explains a lot more of how he looked at Alec. He'd met Alec because Alec was his lawyer. He got him a settlement. He had been in a bad truck accident, I believe, and got him a settlement and stuff, and they became friends. And he said that he looked at Alec like a brother. But here's Alec's 911 call for that shooting. Oops. And you'll see how just calm he was. I mean, it's so crazy how he sounds, because he's lying. He's just lying his ass off. And he's admitted to like making all of this up. Just so you guys know, he has admitted to staging this whole thing.
Chapin 911 was emergency on Salkehatchie Road. Okay, what's the address on Salkehatchie Road? I'm by the church. What church? What church are you talking about? I don't know the name of it with the red roof. Okay, what in the Salkehatchie Road? Because I don't know what you're talking about. It's the Henry County side.
Barely hear him.
Okay, what's going on? I got a flat tire, and I stopped, and somebody stopped to help me, and when I turned my back, they tried to shoot me. Oh, okay. Were you shot? Yeah, but I mean, I'm okay. You shot where? Where were you shot at? Huh? Did they actually shoot you, or they tried to shoot you? They shot me, but... Okay, wait, you need EMS? Well, I mean, yeah, I can't drive. Okay.
Okay, that's just too low for me. I can't hear it. So I'm gonna go to a different one. But if you just hear how ridiculously calm he is, he's like, huh? Yeah, I was just shot in the head. I mean, again, just keep in mind that he has admitted that he staged this whole thing. It's really crazy. Let's see. Scott Reich.
True. I'm by church. What church? What church are you talking about? I don't know the name of it with the red roof. Oh, okay. What in the fuck at the road? What were you talking about? At the Hampton County side. Okay, what's going on? I got a flat tire, and I stopped, and somebody stopped to help me, and when I turned my back, hit me. Oh, okay, yes, but I mean, I'm okay. You shot where? Where were you shot at? Huh? Did they actually shoot you, or they tried to shoot you? They shot me. Okay, wait, you need EMS? Well, I mean, yeah, I can't drive. Okay. And I'm bleeding a lot. Where part of your body? I'm not sure. Somewhere on my head. Your head? Somebody just stopped for me, ma'am. For 911. Okay. Still? Hey. Okay, let me help see if he can tell me exactly where you are. That church? Okay. Red Roof. Yeah, hurry. Okay, and what's your name? I'm still here. I'm still on the line with you. What's your name? Murdaugh. Alex.
I mean, you have to remember.
And you see you were driving, you got a flat.
He's over here talking to other people while he's on the phone with 911. Okay, 911's just kind of sitting there like, what's your name? Like, I'm still here. He's this guy. He's just something else. Mary. Hi, Mary. Did he buy 12 million life insurance right before this Eddie thing and no ins on his family? I don't buy it. I'm not sure if he did. He said that he was shooting himself in the head or trying to get cousin Eddie to do it because he wanted to give that life insurance to Buster, which I'm not buying that for 2 seconds. He got too many settlements for people, all kinds of people, teenagers, paraplegics, older people, elderly people, and he just stole every single penny of it. So I don't believe he was going to do that, and give money to Buster. This person is just not that darn selfless. Okay, as we can see, he's a very selfish, greedy person. So, some of the victims, the financial victims that have talked about this and are out in the public, it's really crazy because it's just all the same. It's just all the same stuff. They trusted him. They really did. Alec seemed to have a way, and I think he said that his business was people because he was so good at it. He was so good at making people feel comfortable, like they had nothing to worry about. He was going to take care of everything. He was a good old boy. He's got you. And he would rob you blind. Whether he had money or not, it just did not matter. Thusu, if he was suicidal, then that only seems to support his desperate behavior. Yeah, the whole suicide thing. I don't know. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. He didn't die. He's still alive, clearly. He had a little graze to his head. I don't know. He's just a strange character all the way around, but people throw the word narcissist around a lot. But I do have to say that with watching Alec Murdaugh on the stand, it's pretty much exactly what you're watching. It's just a literal narcissist at work. He could not resist. He had to get on that stand. And a lot of narcissists do that. People know he's a lawyer. He definitely knows it's not really in his best interest to get on the stand. It's just usually not. But usually it's the narcissist that can't resist. They got to get up there. They got to tell their story. They want to command the whole courtroom. And he tried to do that. And I would say at times he succeeded in running the narrative. And it just worried me. I don't know why. When I was watching the trial today, I was getting really worried. Like, are these jurors putting these puzzle pieces together? Have any of them been bought off? And I have no evidence of that. It's just the thought with the power that the Murdaugh family last name carried. Him carrying around a solicitor's badge, openly admitting in court that, yeah, he used it to get advantages when he thought it would. It just all seems so surreal. And if they let him off, is it going to be this thing of, well, he was just so honest. He was so honest about all of his crimes and everything that I didn't think he lied about the murders because he was so honest about how he stole all these people's money. And, that's a really tough thing for people to admit to everyone. But the thing he won't admit to is murder. And I feel like there's a reason for this. With the financial crimes, there could be some type of way where he could get off the murders, and try to, I don't know, maybe finagle his partners or something. I don't know. This case is so crazy. Anyway, I need somebody else's thoughts because I'm going to rant on here. Dusel, it doesn't seem like there are any other suspects. There aren't. There are literally no other suspects. And people bring up the boating accident, the 4 other people that were on the boat, they gave DNA. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but they gave DNA for Maggie and Paul's murders. So, what makes you think this is rigged, though? Do you think the jury just isn't going to convict him? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Something doesn't seem right. I feel like the defense got more out of him and his lying than, well, they did, because that's the first thing they did. They put him on the stand. They made him admit to all the other stuff, just not the murders. So when the prosecution's turn to get up there and, go to work, well, he's already admitted everything except the murders. But the prosecution still has to make the case for the financials. So they go through all the financial stuff and Alec playing, word games and word salad games and all this stuff. And then day 2, they get to the murders. But I feel like it had less impact because he already admitted to all of it. He's just not admitting to killing them. And it's kind of tough because you don't have the murder weapons. You do have him lying all over the place, lying about how long he was at his mom's, lying about being at the kennel, doing all this lying. But then there's also not concrete proof that he killed them either. So it's kind of, I don't know. Like, I can see it. I can see how it all ties together. And I hope that a jury does. But corruption runs extremely deep in these parts. And it just worries me. Their ability to get to people has been shown already. Dick Harpootlian's tentacles reach far and wide. I think Alex does too. Even though he's sitting where he's sitting, he still has that last name. He still has that power. I mean, you see Shelley Smith, who was the caretaker, is the caretaker, I believe, for Libby Murdaugh, which is Alex's mother. And she just seems so fearful on the stand. she seemed like she wanted to tell the truth, and I believe that she did. But she seemed afraid. She worked for the school district. What did Alex say to her, after the murders? Oh, you're getting married, right? I can help you pay for that. Oh, yeah, you work at the school, don't you? Yeah, I'm friends with the principal. Is he saying anything wrong? No. At its face value, it looks very innocent. But knowing what he's done, just the financial lying and scheming and scamming, and with the badge. The badge was a big deal. I want to commend the prosecution for bringing that forth and showing that Alex Murdaugh had no problem taking that solicitor badge and using it to his benefit. Abusing power is what he was doing. Hi, Lolo. Lolo is saying he's trying to make himself look innocent by being honest. Yes. Okay. Yes, let's talk about that. That's exactly what I was trying to say. He is trying to make himself look innocent. I think I wrote a tweet about that. By being honest about things he couldn't deny anyway. Exactly. He can't deny that. The financial stuff, the paperwork is there. It's all there. You're not getting away with that. It's only going to make you look better if you just admit it. But he knows that the case with Maggie and Paul is more circumstantial. Now, in the eyes of the law, there is no distinction between a direct evidence case and a circumstantial case. You can definitely be convicted on a circumstantial case alone. So the eyes of the law, they don't discriminate with that. People think that, a circumstantial case is weaker. Yes, it is, by definition. But you can have a very strong circumstantial case. And it's just, to me, if not Alec, who? Who? When? In what time period? Who did this? How do I say this? I guess the point that I keep trying to drive home is just the fact that he's doing what Lolo said. He's admitting to stuff he can't get out of anyway, just like the kennel video. He couldn't get out of that. He knew he couldn't get out of that, so he has to admit it. He did admit it. But then he's still saying, so what? I know I lied. I lied to investigators every single time. I lied to my family. I lied to everyone and said I wasn't at the kennels. And I just kept lying because I started the lie. So he admits all the stuff on the stand. But then it's like but so what though? I still didn't kill him. Yeah, I lied about that, but I didn't kill them though. That's kind of like his demeanor, I would say. Mary is saying he never said, no, I did not kill my wife and son. Every time he was asked, his answer was always, I would never intentionally hurt my wife and son. He never just answered no. Yeah, he could never just answer anything straightforwardly. Did you notice that? Like, it was always a bunch of word salad. And then I remember at one point, I don't remember the timestamp for it. I would have to look it up, and I'm not going to do that right now. But at one point, he said, Mr. Waters, that is not what I am saying. And then he goes, well, I mean, yes, that is what I'm saying. And I'm like, wait, what? You just said no. Now you're saying yes. He's just a liar. Yes, the badge was huge. I agree, Lolo. And him admitting again that he used that badge to help himself. He just straight up admitted it. Dussel is saying, can we talk about why people form relationships with serial liars? If you want to. Do you think his wife was ever complicit with his dealings, or at least similarly minded? I am going to answer, I don't know. But I will tell you that I have been in a relationship with a compulsive liar. And I am not that way. So it was kind of astounding to me to watch, because I would catch this person in lies. I mean, just like literally red-handed, all the way. And they would still look me dead in the face and just lie. And it got to a point where it was so insulting. Like, why do you lie this way? Like, it's kind of astounding, and when you're not a liar like that, you just assume that others aren't either. So when you're like confronted with it personally, like for me, it was always like at some point this person has to realize that their lies are not working and they're going to tell the truth, right? No, no, that's not how it works. They just keep right on lying. So I don't know. I'm not going to say that Maggie was like that or not. I just know for myself, I was not like that, and I was in a long-term relationship with a compulsive liar. He would just lie about things that he didn't even need to lie about. And it was just really, really odd and really, really weird. And I see it in Alec. I see the same thing. Like just this compulsive liar that he can't even help himself. Let's see this again. When did you realize they were compulsive liars? I would say probably a couple of years before the end of the relationship. Do you think they only started to lie during the course of the relationship? Were they always doing so, but you didn't catch it? Looking back, I think that they were a liar. But I don't know if I didn't see it or I thought, oh, he's just lying because he doesn't want me to be mad, or I don't really know. It's a really weird thing because you kind of, some of the things he lied to me about were just so ridiculous that I just kind of did a head tilt and was like, what? Why would you lie about that? Like, it was just kind of mind boggling. And then he would always come up with these reasons as to why, like, oh, well, I didn't want you to be mad at me, or, well, I already know how you react, even though I wouldn't have had any reaction, he would just say things like that. So it was, I don't know, it was really weird. Lolo, and he can cry. Yes, let's talk about his emotions. And he can cry at the drop of a hat, full on red face, not running down the face, and maybe a few forced tears. Yes, his crying is ridiculous. I can't. Here's what I think. Just like he said, when he had the audacity after he admitted to stealing from all of those people that he stole from, after he admitted all of that, he goes, I still care for those people, and I still care for those people to this day. And I'm like, what? Did you really just say that? But that makes sense to me because I feel like it's the same for Paul and Maggie. I feel like he still cares. Doesn't mean he didn't off them, but he still cares in whatever way he understands what caring is. But yeah. What did Cream Puff say? I miss Cream Puff. So I wonder if it comes from insecurity. Some men feel the need to prove themselves constantly, and some women are easily impressed by that. Yeah, well, mine was a little different. Mine wasn't like I'm a tough guy type thing. But anyway. Cream Puff. He made it look like his drug habit made him not remember good. Like maybe the jury's supposed to think he did kill them accidentally. Yeah, I kept saying that. I was like, a drug defense is not a defense. Like, I don't care if you were on drugs. You chose to take those damn drugs. And whatever you did while you were on them is still your fault. It's like a drunk driver. Just because they say I was drunk, oh my God, I didn't mean to wreck into those people and kill them. Too bad. You consumed that alcohol. You did that. You're going to be held accountable for it. It's not a defense. So him with this opiate addiction, which I just think is ridiculous. He's using that for, oh, I didn't make good decisions and I lied and I was paranoid to the police, even though he's wearing a solicitor's badge that he shouldn't have been wearing into the hospital rooms of the kids that were on the boat with Paul Murdaugh and trying to intimidate them into saying that Paul was not driving that boat. So those opiates, were not clouding his brain so much that he was not able to still con and manipulate people, because that's exactly what he was doing. I mean, again, he lied to people right from the beginning. He was lying to his family. He was lying to law enforcement about where and what he did that night. And if he did nothing wrong, why lie? What is the need to lie if you did nothing wrong? You just go back to the saying that people that have nothing to hide nothing. Don't give me this paranoid, oh, I was scared around the cops. No, you weren't. No, you were not. You were carrying around that solicitor's badge, acting like one of them. He was around law enforcement. He had law enforcement friends. He admitted this on the stand. Lolo, he can lie about anything and everything. Yes, I think he can. And I think it's really going to be telling what this jury does. To me, it was quite sickening, honestly, to see him just admit over and over and over how he lied and manipulated all these people that he cares about, that cared about him, that, it just kind of made me look at him like, you low down, dirty piece of crap. But you're sitting up here acting like you're doing everybody a favor by being honest for once in your life. You have no way not to be honest. You're sitting on the stand in a courtroom with documents, truthful documents in front of you that you can't lie your way out of this. So now I'm going to play the sympathy card, which is, they made a big deal in the media about the prosecution in this case being about sympathy. But this is kind of what Alex Murdaugh does. He plays the sympathy card. The day he's getting confronted at his job about the missing money is the day that his wife and his son were murdered. He was in the middle of being confronted by his job about missing monies, and he gets a phone call, and he answers the phone call, and his dad's been put in hospice. So these people go from, coworkers that are holding his feet to the fire to something bad happens to Alec, and then they all change hats to their friend hats because they were his friends. They were his colleagues. They were his business they were his law partners, and they were also his personal friends. So separating all of those roles that you play with a person is difficult. When you know their family, you know everything about them, Alec is doing wrong with the money, but his dad's in hospice now. Crap, it's not really a good time to ask about the money. Okay, now maybe it's a good time to ask. Oh my God, his wife and his son just got murdered. Definitely not a good time to ask about this. So it's just kind of like sympathy does play a large role in this case. And I feel like he's using it now again. With his wife and his son being murdered, he's sitting up there, he's crying, he's lying. And he's playing on people's emotions, because normal people could never, just murder their family members because of money. Normal people do not think that way. They don't do things like that. So for a lot of us, it's just hard to wrap our heads around the fact that he could even do this to his wife and son. And then he's sitting up there crying. I'm a little worried that he's going to be able to flip a juror that might fall for his sympathy ploys. I'm a little worried about that. Oh, hi, Glory. Just stopped by to say hi after streaming the trial day. My brain is starting to fade. Yeah, I bet. I had to watch it in increments. So I'd watch a little bit, go do something, watch a little bit more, go do something. I couldn't sit and watch it live all the way through, but I just did it in increments today, and it's a lot. It really is a lot. Yes, Lola, bought him time. See, Lola, I feel like you get this. You get this. Mary says, I don't trust lawyers or car salesmen. Right, exactly. I mean, it's kind of strange just watching this case with all the lawyers up there, that have gotten up there, and it's like lawyer versus lawyer, Sorry. But that's what it seems like. Lolo again. That's what worries me too. All his BS crying is going to tug at jurors' heartstrings. Yeah, I'm a little worried about that. Normal people can do crazy stuff when placed in abnormal situations. Yeah. I mean, you have to remember that Alex Murdaugh's life was unraveling, financially unraveling. It was coming undone. His law firm was confronting him again. His son, because of that boating while drunk accident, was about to cost him millions and millions of dollars. His wife wasn't cooperating with wanting to sign over properties and things like that were in her name and his and her name. There's a reason. Everything about Alex Murdaugh revolves around money. All of it. Glory, what say you? Guilty or not guilty? Love to hear your thought. I'm going guilty because I just think he's guilty as hell. I'm worried about our more sensitive folk that might sympathize with his BS crying, as Lolo put it. Definitely guilty. Yes. Listen, you know what? Speaking of paralegals, I'm telling you, I think his paralegal, Mark Tinsley, Mr. Ball, all of these witnesses, Shelley Smith, Blanca, all these witnesses that got up on the stands, especially the paralegal, the first paralegal, she really laid out the financials, but she also talked about his demeanor before and after that boating accident and the lawsuit. And I think that was very important to this case, that when she said, after the lawsuit hit, he changed. He stopped coming in the office and hoopla it with everyone, and he kind of holed up in his office, and he was obsessed with the case. Why? Well, obviously because it was going to cost him $30 million. So his life is spiraling down, and I feel like there was rage there. Do you guys know who Lindsay Edwards is? Everyone? Because if not, we are going to watch Lindsay Edwards, okay? She's not been a part of the trial, but she has been on a channel called Fit News. I don't know if it's a channel or a news station, but the Murdaugh murder podcast. Mandy Matt, what's her name? Mandy Matley. She worked for Fit News. So they had this woman named Lindsay Edwards on. She was a dancer. She was a stripper. She kind of got sucked into sex trafficking, literally. And one of the guys that she, quote unquote, serviced was Alex Murdaugh. She talked about being with him, I think 3 or 4 different times she was made to service him. And she said that, the first time she met him, he was really nice. He was really friendly, told her his name, everything, told her what he did, which sounds like him. And then she said, when they went back into a room, bedroom, whatever, that it was like a light switch, that he just became violent, that he violently, trigger warning, penetrated her, and bit her. Or no, was he the biter? Or choked her. I'm sorry. Choked her. And then the second time she was with him, she was made to service him again. He wanted her. He pulled chunks of her hair out. Every time he was with her, he was extremely violent. So I don't know if you guys... have heard of Lindsay Edwards, but it is on my community tab. I did post it. Yeah, really, Lola. What a Richard. Good one. Nice little play on words there. I wanna show this. Hold on. I want you guys to hear from Lindsay Edwards, and you guys tell me what you think. Come on, YouTube. This always takes forever. I figure I'd let you guys watch me fight with my computer. Oh, there's... So... Alright, so this here, and again, this is Fitz News.
Costing Amazon Prime shoppers. Are you still using Prime? Because it's the dinosaur of online shopping.
Welcome everybody to the Fitz News. Today is a very special.
I'm going to speed it up a little bit.
Story that
so
we
it's
have
not
been
like
dying to
stealing
tell
your
you,
entire
that we've been
comment.
excited about ever since we found our guest on TikTok. Lindsay Edwards' story. How do we connect?
Oh. Well, I mean, I guess you could say I posted videos referring to Alex Murdaugh being one of my clients from when I was sex trafficked for about years. And with the overturn...
Hang on. Let me take down that comment. Oops. I always forget to do that. Hold on. Let's watch Miss Edwards here.
Of Roe versus Wade, it made me want to come out and talk more about my situation and what I went through, and how Roe versus Wade really helped me and protected me when I was in that sort of imprisonment. And now that South Carolina is going to be one of the next states that puts an abortion ban up and starts removing health clinics and easy access to Plan B and birth control and stuff, it's not something I want to see for the state that I love. I lived here for 9 years, and it's definitely my place that I call home. And to have that taken away from all the women in this state absolutely kills me.
Tell us a little bit about that too, because so many people hear, Planned Parenthood, and they think, well, it's just abortion, but actually some of the things you're talking.
We'll get through her. I'd prefer not to talk about her politics. So I want to get to more of her story.
Who potentially have to have abortions.
Yeah, and then you're opening up the possibility of a lot of back alley abortions that can further harm, possibly even kill women. And then even if they don't put an exception to medical emergencies, having incomplete miscarriages can kill women.
All right, again, we're going to get past her politics.
On social media.
I got a lot of people that believed it, that could see him doing this sort of type of, I guess you say, arrangement, things that were going on. And then there was a lot of people that were like, oh, you're just trying to jump on a bandwagon and use his name and join in on this stuff. And it's the amount of trauma that I went through. I wouldn't want to, I guess you could say, share it or talk about it for any other way, just because, I mean, it's obviously going to tarnish his reputation along with my own. And it's something that I've stayed quiet about for upwards of, I think, like 6 years now. And I thought that I would just end up taking that situation with me to the grave.
Right. Because that's sort of the code, I guess.
And it's not really something that I wanted.
Just so you guys know, this was posted 6 months ago. So
My family, my friends, my community to, I guess, portray me as or see me as like, oh, she's just another prostitute, or she was just fucking for money and stuff like that. And it's a lot more deeper than that. I mean, I was a dancer, and then I got put into a position that I was basically lied to, and ended up like getting trapped into something that I had no clue about until it was too late.
And let's distinguish, because you and I, we had a wonderful chat yesterday. We were talking about a lot of things getting ready for this interview, but we were breaking down the difference of, there's dancing, there's sex work, but then there's people who are legitimately forced into, it's rape in some of these cases, right?
Yeah. And, I mean, honestly, like dancers, prostituting, and human trafficking all kind of fall under the lines of sex workers. I mean, dancing is definitely like it's a sex work in a way, but it's in a different fashion, a lot more innocent and legal fashion per se. They all fall under like the sex workers category. With the human trafficking, the human trafficking, I mean, your body, your choice. I mean, if you want to go out and sell yourself for money, go ahead. But it's like when it comes to the fact of somebody else doing it for you and controlling you and telling you who you're going to service, how you're going to service them, and everything like that, even if you don't want to, because that person is abusive.
let me just say, with the Dussel, you're saying, notice how she doesn't look up when she talks. What I noticed with her was a lot of called eye blocking. You notice that she'll close her eyes a lot. And it's sort of a way that the brain is trying to block out the trauma of it, because you can still see, you'll see as the story goes on, what she has to say. So I'm going to, before you judge, just go ahead and listen.
Or has harmed you in the past, harmed others in the past, then it does become rape at that point.
And we're going to get into just how abusive Alex Murdaugh was in a little bit. But before we get to that, I wanted to just bring people into the progression that you went through. You started as a dancer, is that right?
Yeah. I was going through my divorce with my first husband. I had a 5-month-old daughter, and there was no way I've been able to support a household, my child, and myself 500 miles away from where I grew up and where all my family was. So I took to dancing and made decent money. I wouldn't say it was horrible. I mean, I was able to get bills paid and not have to worry too much about having certain things shut off, unless the fact that I would oversleep the next day and just forget to go to the companies and pay them, because all I would have is cash. I never really put it into bank cards or debit cards or anything like that. But when, I guess you can say, like, clientele would die down during holidays and stuff like that would come into the clubs, the fees to even work in a strip club were still extremely high, because you would have house fees, you would have DJ tip outs, bouncer tip outs, manager tip outs, everything like that. So you could make like $1,200-$1,500 a night, but you're still going to be walking away with probably about $600 just from all the fees that come along with everything of working in a club. And when, I guess you can say, I started traveling out and going to other clubs outside of Hilton Head, I went up to Charleston. I worked at Stilettos. I worked at the Southern Bar, which is now Goodfellas Cabaret. And even more so there, I mean, like, even if you go full nude, like, the money still was not as good. And I kind of stuck with staying at Stilettos a lot and realizing that they had a very large clientele coming in, a lot of people, a lot of sales. It was a lot more suitable to be a dancer there, because you would actually make money and not have to pay so much to leave the club every night. But the amount that I was traveling from Beaufort all the way to Charleston, 6 nights a week, on top of $300 a week in childcare, it was still like just barely making it.
Or at this point, you're just dancing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I never wanted to be the type of person that even worked in the clubs that would suck dick for money, fuck in the back rooms, or anything like that. That was never my forte whatsoever. I always was very strict and in my lane with that, because I've seen other girls do it, and I see how it makes every other girl in the club upset and mad, because in a way it's like that gives men in the clubs like a leeway of like, oh, well, we can do this dance, but this girl did this for me, so will you do this for me? And it's like, if you say no, then it's like, oh, then I don't want to deal with you.
Changes expectations.
Yes, it completely gives them the wrong expectation of what a strip club really is.
Forces you to either do it or lose out on money.
Yeah. And I still stuck to my guns. It was not something I wanted to do. And I got word from, I guess you could say, all the girls in the club about this one lady who ran girls for private parties. And me being young and naive, I didn't know really what private parties was.
How old are you at this time?
I'm 28. And back then I was 20 years old.
Okay.
So they wanted to, they were informing me about how this lady would run girls for private parties. We would basically be doing what we were doing in the club, but in private houses and rental houses, beach houses, wherever, maybe where guys are having like bachelor parties and stuff, or like guys' weekend and everything. And they were very high up men, I guess you can say, and would pay a lot of money for it. And we would make a lot more going with her and doing it privately versus being in the club and having to pay all these fees and tip outs and basically fight for money at that point.
At this point, the private parties, your presumption is, I'm just going to dance.
Yeah.
It's same thing, just different location.
Yeah.
It's out of the club.
Yeah, and I was like, well, that's even better, because then it was like I can make my own schedule a lot more easier than if I was in the club. It would be a lot more.
I think the ghost fucked my husband.
Yeah, it is pretty fascinating. Wait till she gets to the Alex Murdaugh part.
You could say flexible in a way, and I could have more time off to be able to spend time with my daughter while still making just as much, if not more. And I was awful. And I had one of the girls that was very close, her older sister, also worked for this lady in the past, get me in. And that's kind of, I guess, I got in because there was a bunch of other girls that were begging to, but she wouldn't take them. It was only if, like, you had somebody on the inside that you were able to get in.
So you get in with this madam, we'll call her, and what happens then?
By the time I got into the car for that night and we start driving around, that's when she kind of fills me in on what we're going to be actually doing. And that includes servicing men.
It's servicing.
Sex, blowjobs, everything like that. And she was passing around condoms and everything like that, trying to break down like how to ask for money. Like, you ask for donations, you don't ask for a set price. They already know the set price. You go in there, you ask for donations, you don't take off a drop of your clothing until the man has fully exposed himself. When he has fully exposed himself, that's when you collect the dips. And then that's when you take off your clothes.
What's the logic there?
It was more so to see if they were police officers or not, because a police officer cannot fully expose themselves to you. And when you're asking for donations rather than just for money in general, then that eliminates, I guess you'd say, the ability to prosecute for solicitation.
Okay, it's because it's not a payment, it's a gift.
Yes.
Okay, I got it. So this is 2014?
Late 2014, yeah. I want to say about December.
And so you're in the car, you're on to the first party. And you had no idea until then exactly what would transpire.
I had no idea. And then once I kind of figured out what was going to be happening, I was like, can we just go back to my car? I really don't want to do this or anything like that. I'd rather go home. I'd rather just go work back at the club. And that upset this lady a lot. And she started driving around in random circles around town, speeding, slamming on brakes, going around circles. And the bodyguard that was in the front seat was loading up a gun ready to put it to my head in a way to almost like influence me and threaten me. And I was freaking out and scared at that time. I was like, I really just don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And then they started threatening killing me, finding my daughter, killing my daughter, going after my family if I did not do this, or if I chose to do this and then go home and report it to police.
So at this point, you're not a sex worker, you're a sex slave.
Yeah. It went from like 0 to 100 in a matter of like 20 minutes. And I can say on my first appointment, I guess I went to, I tried to get off with just dancing, I guess you could say, and lap dances and stuff. And I did it fully naked and everything, but they kept requesting stuff. And then that's when I guess my madam got out of the car and then just came in the house that we were at and basically bitched me out for a good like 30, 40 minutes. can say.
Yeah. But this was the first time I remember that you said yesterday, I did not have a choice.
Yeah. There was no choice. There was no sort of, okay, well, now that I know what this is like, it's fine. I'll keep.
Am I muted? Can you guys hear me? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Keep it all secret and everything, but this just isn't the life for me. This isn't what I wanted to do at any point in time, even during my time as a dancer, that I ever wanted to do those things for money. I didn't want to degrade myself in that sense whatsoever. But I lost that choice. There was no way out at that point. No way that I felt safe. And even during the first appointment, she took my cell phone and was able to like somehow share locations of where my phone was with her that I had no idea that she did until later on. And that's when I knew it's like, well, that's how she found out where I lived, where I was at all points in times, even if I wasn't at her house getting ready to go out for appointments that night.
And tell us a little bit some of these rules with the phones. You were telling me yesterday that when you're on your way to an appointment, tell us about the phone drill.
Yeah. We couldn't have any sort of cameras out unless we were just like taking selfies of like us, like a group or whatever, or anything like that. We could never have our phones like sitting up in the back texting. We always had to have them laying flat, so then she could see a mirror what we were actually doing on our phones. Because if she even for a second that we were pulling up like Google Maps or Apple Maps to be able to drop hints on locations of where we were at, she would absolutely lose her mind. It was not allowed whatsoever because she didn't want us to know where we were, who we were servicing, or what we were like.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Dussel, me, myself, the ex-partner that I was talking about that was a compulsive liar, he had literal trackers on my phone that I did not know about. They were disguised as other apps. He had also gotten into my Google, and he had it to where I was sharing my location from my phone to him at all times. Hand to God. I got an alert, and I went in and I changed it. So I'm just saying it can happen.
Where we were in general in the city. And we would travel everywhere from like Mount Pleasant, Johns Island, Isle Palms, West Ashley, downtown Charleston, North Charleston, Somerville, Goose Creek, just basically anywhere.
There's some pretty famous people on that list. We won't name names here today, but some people you recognize on television. And
yeah. I mean, it definitely makes it hard though. I haven't watched the PGA Masters.
Let's fast forward to late 2014, early 2015. I know you don't have the precise date, but you were dispatched with how many other girls?
There was usually 2 to 3 other girls in the car.
You were sent to a beach house on the Isle Palms, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that particular trip.
Well, that was probably like, I guess you could say like one of the first times that it had sort of like a private party sense to it of like, I guess what was portrayed to me. We all went into the house, even my madam, and it was a group of us. We were going in there. It was apparently like a guys' weekend or something like that. And there was like a bunch of guys there drinking, doing drugs, had a fire going on the deck and eating food, just hanging out and stuff like that, which literally I think it was a good, like the first hour and a half that we were there. That's literally what we did with it. We were taking shots, doing cocaine, smoking weed, hanging out by the fire. It was talking and like almost like getting to know them in a way. And that's where I met Alex Murdaugh. And I remember that, like, I mean, there was at least enough girls for, like, everybody that was there. There was one man that was passed out in a room, so I think my madam didn't have to service anybody that night. And they kind of just, like, had, like, their pick of the crop between, like, the girls and everything, and he attached himself to me in a way. And he was very nice and everything like that, very gentlemanlike at first. And we talked about like what he did for a job, what his name was, where he worked.
He told you his name?
Yeah. He actually did tell me his name. He told me that he was a personal injury lawyer out of Hampton, South Carolina. And I was like, oh, that sounds really familiar. I was like, I live in Beaufort. And he's like, oh, you live in Beaufort? And he's like, oh, I like you more already. And like we kind of connected on that. We talked about different places to eat in Beaufort, like Alpen Ords, Plums, Paninis, stuff like that.
So he's treating you with respect. He's engaging you in a.
And so, I mean, like, I felt safe at that point. I didn't feel like it was really that bad of a situation. I was in a lot worse situations before, and I was unfamiliar with people going to, like, hotel rooms with random people that just came off a back page and stuff where I was extremely uncomfortable because I had no idea who they were. So I guess you can say having, like, a more, like, one-on-one intimate conversation with somebody and actually getting to know them more than just a fake me kind of put me at ease a lot more. And instead I'm talking about different alcohols and stuff like that and drinking and just different stuff to do around the area, it wasn't that bad at the moment.
Sure.
And when it came time to actually have to service them, like my expectations were still pretty high. I was like, okay, it shouldn't be that bad. I've already done this a good hundreds of dozens of times at this point. I don't think this shouldn't be that bad. I mean, he seemed like a really nice person, but I was violently choked with both hands, like being pinned down to the bed in a way by my throat. And it was to the point where I couldn't breathe.
By him?
By him.
By Al Murdaugh. At this beach house?
Yeah.
Filing your tax return is different. TaxUSA.com.
So there's
First off,
the
there are no
first
extra
one.
fees for premium.
And
I don't know. Did she say
pinned down
that?
to the bed
Lisa?
by my throat with both hands. To the point where I was like almost like I was seeing spots. I was seeing stars. I was beating and scratching on his wrist as much as possible again because I thought at that moment I was going to die. And it was also while we violently penetrated. And I think it was like as soon as he was done, I couldn't have up and ran out as fast as possible, even completely naked. I just grabbed everything off the floor that was mine and just ran out of the room and went to a bathroom, locked the door to get dressed and just kind of like collect myself and fight back to tears at that point. And to really just put myself back in order in a way to go on to the next appointment. And my madam was there the whole time. And she was in the living room, but she was drinking with the other guys and really didn't hear or pay attention to what was going on or anything. So by the time I got out of the bathroom, I just went up to her. I was like, we need to go. I want to go. I was like, I just want to get out of this house. I was like, I'm ready to go. And she's like, oh, well, I'm not really ready to go yet. We still got to be on the other girls. So I was like, can I at least have the keys to go sit in the car?
He's the bodyguard.
And she's like, oh, well, he's downstairs smoking. So, I mean, you can go in there with him. And I went out there with him and explained what happened. And he let me go sit in the car, and he went up to go talk to my madam about what transpired and why I wanted to get out of the house so fast. And he came back down and just kind of like said she didn't care. She dismissed it. And I was like, how can you dismiss it for that one person? But if anybody else did that to me, you would be at their throat. And he's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to tell you. He's like, I'm sorry that it happened. He's like, that is something that would even upset him and something that he didn't approve of and didn't want to happen to us at all. And he was even just kind of like overstepped by her, like, nope, you're not going to ruin my fun because I'm having fun right now. I don't care what happens to them.
We showed you some pictures yesterday of some other men who
Yeah.
were at that party. We won't get into those men now, but they're folks who are also part of this still unfolding criminal investigation, multiple investigations, as a matter of fact. But these are powerful men.
And this to my is this rig type thing, because they don't even name these other guys in this interview. They do not name them. But he just said that there are names that are in this investigation. You're going to hear that she slept with SLED members, law enforcement, all kinds of people. So it's kind of crazy. And I don't know if they have released those names. I think I don't know if they're waiting for after this trial. I'm not sure. I can't remember what happens at the end of this, but
Did you get the sense that after this happened, especially the way that you had them and the guy was supposed to be protecting you, the way that they reacted, did you get the feeling that these guys were a ball? Or?
Yeah. I mean, she always fear-bombed us of how far her reach was, I guess you can say, of who she would service, who other girls have serviced, who she knows, why she's been able to get away with this for upwards of, I think it was like 25 years when I met her. And that if we did or said anything, we would basically fall off the face of the earth and nobody would have a clue or trace as to why. And I mean, we ended up saying mayors, judges, solicitors, district attorneys from other states,
Police officers.
Police officers.
Tell us a little bit about that, because this is where it gets very interesting. Some of those appointments with police officers were not so much, it was more for information for your madam. Is that correct?
Yeah, she had somebody on the inside with SLED and basically every police department in the areas that she would service as well. That would give her information on stings and where they were located, what numbers they would be calling from, what names that they were even using as fake names when they would call in. And when we would go to the appointments where we would service the police officers, they would never give us money. She's like, oh no, these are ones that are part of our list to help us.
hey, Tamara.
And I was kind of like, okay, didn't think much of it.
These are police at which level?
City, state, SLED, all of them.
And you were essentially having sex with them in exchange for them or with
Information and protection away. It was more so like, instead of getting our set price of donations, we wouldn't get anything. And she's just like, you don't have to ask for donations here. You just go in and do this. Or she would even do it herself. And then if we did it,
she would do it herself.
Yeah, sometimes she would do it herself as well.
I know, right,
And
Lola?
when we would get back into the car, since we received donations from them, she would pay us out of her own money our normal cut of what we got from our donations, which was about like $160 to $180.
For how long? What is that?
1 hour, a day, one nut.
One orgasm.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it safe to assume most men don't make the full hour?
No.
We won't do an average time here, but take us now through. Okay, so you've been through this harrowing experience at this beach, and it was probably even worse for you because you felt kind of in a position with somebody. Okay, he's from a town that you're familiar with. He seems nice, but then all of a sudden, was it like a switch flipped or?
Yeah, I mean, you could just see like his whole entire personality just change almost in a way. It was, I guess you'd say, like, in a sense, like he went into like a completely different personality. And you could just see it in his eyes, like I don't know if it was became there, it was just like even like his pupils just got so much glimmer, like his eyes were just like almost solid black in a way.
Did he have drugs on him at the party? Was he?
Yeah, they had drugs when we showed up. There was cocaine and pills going around, but they were running low, and so my madam had like 2 more 8 balls of cocaine with her that she sold to them along with a bag of set. And they asked like, oh, what else do you have? And she had like her own bag stash of Xanax bars, and they bought a decent amount of those as well. Not a whole lot, but I would say like,
Alan Murdaugh buying any of these himself?
Yeah, they were all kind of compiling money together and everything because it was like to be shared amongst like all of them.
Cool. Take us to North Charleston a few weeks later.
Life can be nutty. You never know what's going to happen next.
Yes,
Or
she
what the
does.
kids are
So
gonna get into.
she talks
Knowing
about
I'm
doing
what I
cocaine.
can to help.
Well, that was the second time that I met him. I believe it was at an extended stay hotel from my vague memory of in and outness of just trying to, as you can say, remember this all, but also like little area cues that kept me like.
You remember the
Kind of
sign?
things like, yeah, the sign. The sign outside, it was like a tannish sign with white lettering and a green flower. And I didn't know who I would have been servicing that much at the time. I don't think she said a name until like we got there. And I was like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to do this. I don't want this. He's going to hurt me, and you don't allow these men to be doing this. Why do you keep sending back to him?
She used his real name.
Yeah, because we already knew who his name was, or who he was, and what his name was, because he told us like the first time we met him.
And we remembered him from the book.
Yeah, and she was like, well, I'm sorry, but he requested you. He wants you personally. I'm like, all right. I was like, well, can we please just skip him stuff? I don't feel safe doing this. I don't want to die. And she's like, you're not going to die, sweetie. I know you got to get back in this car. You have other appointments. I'm going to make sure you don't die. But still, she dropped me off and drove off to drop off other girls without a care in the world. So I was essentially alone. And that time when I went up to service him, that's when he ripped chunks of hair out of my head instead of choking me. And I had bald spots in the back of my head, which it was like right at the crown of my head. And even the hair there is still taking a while to grow out. And it's nowhere near as long as the rest of my hair.
From when he pulled hair from your head.
Yeah, and it was like right from the back of my head. Like almost like right at the crown. And it wasn't really easy to hide or cover up whatsoever, especially having to have my hair down all the time. And
so there was no nice Alec this time.
No.
It was just straight into
just violent penetration and ripping hair out of my head.
Tell us about afterward. What'd you do after this second?
I knew I couldn't run out into the hallway naked or anything like that, so I just hurry up, got dressed as fast as I could, and I didn't want to sit in the lobby and wait for my madam to come and pick me back up, so I ran down the hallway. I went to the stairs, and I ran down the flights of stairs, and I hid in behind the stairs in the stairwell until she pulled up to the front to pick me up, and that's when I left and got in the car.
A few days later, you get another call. You said at this point your head's still hurting from everything that happened.
Yeah.
Last thing, you still get chunks of your hair missing.
Yeah. Still had handprints around my neck too that I was covering up with makeup.
But you were sent back.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened this next time. You're doing great, by the way.
Thank you.
You're doing great.
So my madam made the mistake of telling me where we were going and who I was servicing before we even left her house. So I was able to kind of sneak away in a way and hide my phone as much as possible and ordered an Uber to meet me where we were going because I knew that I didn't want to service him anymore. I didn't want to be put through that hell again. And so I ordered an Uber to meet me at the hotel when we got there. And I, of course, went into the hotel, kind of just like the lobby at that point, and waited for my madam to leave. She drove off and left after she dropped me off. And the Uber pulled up. I got into the Uber. And I was like, I had the Uber take me back to my madam's house where my car was. And I was like, I'll give you $300 if you see like you have never spent before.
So you're bailing on the appointment.
Yeah, I didn't even want to go up there. I didn't want to do anything. I was like, I just need to run. I need to get out of here. I did not want to have to do that again. I didn't want to be put in that situation. It's not like I wanted to escape my madam for good. I think that's what she was thinking in a way. I just didn't want to be put in that situation.
You didn't want to be in a room alone with Alec Murdaugh again, did you?
No, because I had no idea what would have happened. And I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of happy and upset that I did run away. We got all the way from that hotel back to Sangre, and my madam was maybe like a couple minutes behind us. I guess she was watching my phone, or Alec called her and was like, yeah, she's not up here. I don't know where she is. And she realized I bailed, and she, I guess, was following the direction of where my phone was going and realized that I was going back to her house and to her car. So when we got there, I already had all my stuff ready, unbuckled, ready to just basically tuck and roll out of this Uber and run. And I get up to my car and I'm opening the door and I see headlights pulling up, turning into the street at a really high speed. And that's when I got in my car, started it, and I was backing out of the driveway. And I knew if I went towards the direction that she was coming, she would have just cut me off from the street. So I went the same direction she was going and backed up in to her in a way, and I tailed it out, and we were basically in a high-speed chase throughout Sangre, and I didn't know the neighborhood well, so I'm kind of thankful that my GPS in my car already had my address program for home for Buford, so I just literally just had to hit 2 buttons and it showed me the route of how to get out Sangre. Went around that route throughout the neighborhood and kind of like almost like did a circle through it and ended up back on the street that she lived on and that she came in on. Went out to the end of it, got North Main Street in Somerville, was speeding down that way, got on to 26 and was going at least 100 miles an hour, heading towards 17 to get back to Buford.
They're still behind you at this point.
Yeah, they were still behind me, like almost rear-ending me at that point. Like if I hit my brakes at any time, she would have just rear-ended the shit out of me.
So high-speed chase through a neighborhood, high-speed chase in the interstate. What a night.
Yeah. I think it was like around the time that I think maybe we hit like North Charleston area, like by the airport, I want to say, that she just completely turned off and like kind of bailed in a way, in a sense, like, I got other girls to pick up, I got other jobs to do, fuck her, just let her be, let her go. So I literally, I didn't stop speeding. I didn't want to stop speeding. I literally sped the whole way back to Buford. I made that hour-and-a-half drive in 45 minutes. I was going about anywhere from 95 to 110 miles an hour down the road as fast as I could. I got back into Buford. I hid my car in like the tree line behind my house that I lived at and off of Joe Frazier Road. And I went and I hid in a house in my master closet behind a false wall with my hot water heater for about 2.5 hours. And that was the time that my madam and showed up and ripped my window unit out of my master bedroom window and crawled through and literally flipped my house upside down trying to find me. And they ended up finding me and dragging me out of my house.
The same night?
Yeah. They dragged me out of my house and put me in the car. And I was forced to go back and service Murdaugh. And he was even more pissed than violent than before.
How late were you at this point? Or?
At least a good like 4 or 5 hours late.
So he's pissed.
Yeah. And that I had hair pulling and choking. And if he wasn't choking me, I had a wash right up to my mouth and was being slapped across my face violently for a good like 20-30 minutes. And whatever money I got from him, I had to turn out a cut from that. And literally the rest of the night, everybody I serviced, I never got a single cut from them. I had to turn all my money over, and I was forced to basically stay in the car and be serviced by her, or not really be serviced by her, but be of service. I want to say it was maybe a few days later, maybe a week at most. And that time, she stayed in the parking lot the whole time, regardless of other girls had appointments, how long it was going to take, whatever it may be. She did not care what he did to me 3 previous times. She was like, you're just going to suck it up and deal with it. That's
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, but every other person that we've serviced pays the exact same price. And if they did anything like what he was doing, you would literally have the bodyguard in there with a gun to their head and having them choke the heck out. And why does he get this exception? She's like, he's in my phone, that's why.
That's what she said. In her phone.
Yeah, in her phone, not like the little track flip phones that they would use. It was her personal phone, which was like, in a way, it was like almost like Epstein's Black Book. She had clients that were personal friends of hers that she serviced or has paid extra money or has done favors for her, whatever, that she keeps in her personal phone, that basically got special privilege.
And one of the special privileges is choking you out and pulling your hair out and shoving
rags in her mouth. Yeah, it was literally like, the special privileges, it was for something that I guess she needed a payment for, whatever, I guess a favor that he did for her in the past. I'm not entirely sure. still don't know. I have no idea. But I guess it's just been like either longtime customers or people that she trusts and knows that are, I guess you could say, high up in like a legal sense, to where if something happened, she could go to them for free services because of basically all the dirt that she has on them.
I do have to ask you this, and frankly, after listening to your story and the details, and after talking to you yesterday about everything, I don't know anybody could listen and not be completely convinced. But you said it earlier, we're in an environment where people have come at you and said, oh, you're making this up. You saw his name. You saw him on the cover of People magazine. You're just trying to get attention. You're trying to get money. What do you say when you hear those kind of things? And how do you push back against those kind of comments?
Honestly, I mean, they weren't there. So, I mean, it's degrading to me to invalidate the trauma that I went through. And to think that I would want to lie about this, to think that I want money from this, I don't want money. I could care less about money. I wanted my story to come out, and I wanted to have the attention it could be, so it would get the attention to the abortion bans and stuff that are going on in Roe versus Wade, and that this taking that sort of healthcare and building away from women in this state that are most likely even still going through what I have been going through or have gone through is just going to put women in such more great harm. There won't be an escape or help or anything like that for even people who have been in my situation or have been going through domestic violence or whatever it may be, or even just violently raped. They'll have to literally be stuck with somebody else's, I wouldn't even say poor choices, but somebody else's aggression. And
she does throw her politics
actions
in there, which, those are her politics. I don't think it negates her story because she's using it in a way, to draw light to something that she's passionate about. And a lot of people that have experienced trauma, will try to do that. They'll try to make it better in whatever way they think is better. So, but let's see. God, I've missed a lot of these comments. You think it was a political statement? Well, take it for what you will. If you disagree with her, you're not disagree, but you don't believe her, then okay. I do. I actually do believe her. I don't think it's a far stretch that stuff like this happens. I mean, human trafficking is real. Child trafficking is real. It happens. And, you ask the question. It's kind of like asking, why would a rich man rape anyone? They can have anybody they want. Well, because rape isn't about, having anyone you want. It's about taking what you want. It's about power. So it's like saying, oh, well, why would anyone be trafficked, or why would anybody go through this trouble of trafficking someone when there's lots of willing women? Well, that doesn't mean because somebody's willing that that's who you want. You might want a certain type of girl, a certain look of a girl, anything like that. You get into these people's minds psychologically. I mean, she was stripping, so she thought she's going to these private parties to be stripping there. Well, that's not what it was. She's going to be servicing people. Yeah. Tamara, called No Boundaries. Exactly. Lilo, she's trying to make something good come out of the horrible things she went through. A cautionary story. Yeah, her idea of, trying to make something good out of this is, advocating for something she believes in, which is, I think, abortion and stuff like that. I really don't want to get into politics. I don't like getting into politics on this channel. That's not why we watch that. If you think that that was her entire story. Fine, Thistle, have your opinion. I disagree. My opinion is different from yours. I don't think she was lying. I think it was very interesting that the guy said that, there were other names that were part of this investigation that they didn't even name yet. And I thought it was very interesting that she said she was with SLED members, and stuff like that. Thus, he didn't seek her out. She was presented to him. Yeah. Yes, that's true. So I think she entered into the sex industry after stripping. It's a very common story and experience for dancers. Yeah. I mean, who am I to say if she was trafficked or not? I mean, I believe her story. It's not that her story is not even uncommon, to be hustled into that. Not uncommon, not as uncommon as people think. There's a giant war going on with human trafficking and child trafficking and things like that. It's not like out of like something you see out of a movie. You see how this happened with her. She was under the impression she's going to be dancing just like she did in the club, and she quickly found out, no, you're going to be servicing men, and you don't have a choice. You're going to do that. I'm going to put this gun to your head. It happens. It does. I know it sounds insane, but yeah, politics does kill the buzz, Mary. I so agree. That's why I'm not doing politics on this channel. I just will not. Whatever your views are on stuff like that are yours to have. Keep them to yourself. So she has a lot to gain from coming out, though, namely her political statement. A lot to gain and a lot to lose. I mean, you got to see that other side of it. When you start naming powerful people, judges and lawyers and cops and SLED agents, I mean, you're putting yourself in danger. You honestly are. So what does she have to lose? Her life. That's what. Sex workers and prostitutes are the ones that are they're the most targeted, for violence, for killing, because not a lot of people miss them. They tend to come from, not all of them, of course, but a large part of them from the wrong side of the tracks, and they don't have a lot of money, which is why they decide to show their body and use their body for money. There's a lot of drugs. There's a lot of violence. It's a very real possibility and a very real fear to a lot of strippers, leaving their clubs at night, and going to their cars. They've been followed. They've been killed. They've been shot in the head. They've had all kinds of things happen to them. Strippers are so prone to violence. It's a very, very violent industry to be in. So yes, exactly, Lilo. What does she have to lose? Her life, literally. And then Thessala says she has a lot to potentially gain. Yeah, I mean, I guess, if you're gonna make up an entire lie about how you were a stripper and then a prostitute and you were doing drugs and you're servicing all these guys, screwing all these guys, just so you can get behind a podium and say, hey, I don't think we should ban abortion. I guess that's a lot to gain. But in my eyes, she had a lot to lose, mainly her life, literally. You don't just come out against people like that and think that nothing is going to happen to you. I don't know if she said it, but I think she said something along the lines of her madam, had ways to make you disappear. That's real. You don't think it's real, but I believe me, it is real. Grandma, I've seen a lot of the soft white underbelly videos and their stories are horrific. Exactly. I mean, Thistle or Thuslu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I know I'm not. But yeah, go watch Soft White Underbelly. It's a channel on YouTube, and you're gonna see some very real stuff. Very, very real. Up close and personal. I think for average Americans, we don't live this kind of life. We don't, so it just sounds outlandish. It sounds like a movie to us, but it's not. It's real. Stuff like this really happens. I mean, look at what we're watching right now, the Murdaugh trial. Murdaugh, sorry. We're watching the Murdaugh trial, and if this wasn't real, you couldn't write this. It's just so insane, but it is real. It's happening right in front of your face. Mary, why didn't the prosecutor call this girl? Yeah, I want to know the same. Because it definitely would speak to character. But kind of like what Thuso is doing, picking her apart, I think they would run into credibility issues, just kind of like with Curtis, Cousin Eddie. I think they would run into too many credibility issues, and I don't know. The witness could go either direction, really. But, yeah. I think she would have made a good character witness. I mean, just her hands, or her saying, he choked her the first time. That says a lot. It says a lot. Guys that choke women, very scary people. So I thought that was pretty profound. Let's see. Thuso is saying, honestly, they probably didn't call her because they couldn't prove her experiences. Yeah, I mean, I guess you would have to take her word for it. I don't know if she has any kind of receipts to bring to the table, But remember, many of you are being compassionate and not critical. You need to see it from a critical lens. I am. I'll tell you something about that interview that does bother me. Is in the beginning she says that, the rules were they had to get naked first, so that make sure they're not cops. But they did serve as cops for free. And it seemed like the madam was well aware of who she would be servicing or bringing her girls to service. So my question was more like, did she do random people as well? Like, if it was hard to even get in with her, I don't think she would make the mistake of getting caught up by the cops. I don't know. That was kind of the problem that I had. But other than that, I do believe her story. Great question, Grandma. He has already admitted to lying, so how can you believe anything he says? Exactly. I mean, this guy, he's sitting in front of you lying his butt off forever. Lolo is saying, I'm afraid the jurors won't be able to believe a well-educated father and husband would do what Alex has done, in my opinion, but they do. It happens every day. Yeah, I mean, Chris Watts. Because I've even seen people say, well, why would he dinner with them? Or why would he ride around with Paul? Why would he do that if he's going to kill them? Why would he be out there trying to stand up a sapling tree? And you got to think of Chris Watts. Chris Watts fed his girls dinner. He bathed them. He dressed them in their pajamas. He put them to bed. And then he went and strangled them in their own beds. I mean, why do people do stuff like that? I don't know. Creatures of habit, potentially. Maybe undecided up until the very last moment. I don't know. It's a good question, but it's a question that would have to be asked of people that do this kind of stuff. Grandma, he has an attitude of, well, I lied about this, but not that. Yeah, exactly. Yes, he does. That's exactly him. It's like, just believe me on this. I lied about everything else. I'm admitting that I lied about everything else, but for this one thing, just believe that I did not kill my wife and son. I'm telling you right now, I don't care what the prosecutor said. Actually, I agree with everything the prosecutor said. I was at the kennels. I did lie about that. He just admits to all the lies, but you're still expected to believe that he did not murder his wife and son. Well, how's that work? I don't think anyone's debating that, Thusu. I don't think anyone's debating what not just women but men as well would be willing to do for money. uh, like Alec Murdaugh. Would he be willing to kill his wife and his son to save his butt with money? And I'm going to say yes, he would. Grandma, why would he lie? To cover his A for what? Was he guilty? Yeah. Tamra, Thusu, you keep forgetting a major part of the argument, choice. Did she say $50 for a choke? Exactly. It's kind of difficult. I see what Thusu is saying. Thusu is trying to look at this through a very, critical lens, but there's just nuance in everything. I always say that, but it's true. Yeah, that's why I don't think they put her on the stand, Thusu. I don't think they put her on the stand because I think the defense would have did what you're doing, just discrediting. And I think that people would have trouble with the fact just that she's a sex worker. I think they would all automatically look down on her, just a natural reaction. Yeah, I think that's probably why. Even though I do find her story compelling, and it does give an insight into Alex Murdaugh being violent. Again, like I already stated, I think the same with Curtis, cousin Eddie, that's why they didn't put him on the stand. Credibility issues. Grandma, you don't need to lie when you're innocent. Exactly, Grandma. People that have nothing to hide, hide nothing. Thusu, we don't know what she agreed to, though. She may have done many things for money leading up to that. Maybe. I don't know. I only watched what you watched. So, but let's move on from that. Do you think that there is a possibility that this jury was rigged or could be rigged? Because all it takes is one. And again, corruption runs insanely deep. The fact that I even see people in comment sections say, not guilty, not guilty, I'm like, holy crap. Like, do you need to see a video of him actually doing this? Or it kind of feels like that nowadays. Even with the Idaho 4 case, just off topic for a minute, Kohberger, you see people like already saying he's not guilty and we haven't even gone to trial yet. So, Thusu, we don't. Oh, I already read that comment. Sorry. But yeah, I don't know. If it comes, feel like it's gonna be rigged. Having connection issues. Connection issues. Sorry, had some connection issues. This will say, I don't think it's rigged, but then again, I don't know everything. Lolo, I saw a comment. Alex, we know you're innocent. I love you, Alex. Ew. Why would anybody say that? It's so weird. Dusu, there could be people joking or trolling too. Yeah, that's true. The trolls. The trolls, the trolls, the trolls. Grandma. Did I see Grandma? I thought I did. No, I did. Tamara, it's possible to reach one juror with that wealth and power, in my opinion. I know. This is what bothers me. And they're so skilled at it. Just watch Dick Harpootlian. You could tell in real life that he's just a slithering tongued snake oil salesman, like 100%. Maggie's sister believes he unalived her. Yeah, I believe so too. Did she come out and just say that flatly, Grandma? Because I believe that she definitely believes that. And it's sad. Like, a lot of people hate this family because they're, so entitled and wealthy and all this kind of stuff. I don't hate them because of that. I hate them because of the abuse of power of all of it. But at the same time, at the end of the day, no amount of money is going to bring back a loved one, So I feel really terrible for their family. Maggie's sister, you just see the pain on her face, and this has to be conflicting. Alec isn't some new person to them. They vacationed with this man. Their children have grown up together. They're family. And it's just to look, at someone across a courtroom that you felt you knew very well. Your sister was married to this man for umpteen years. And have to testify in a trial where he's being accused of her murder. I mean, that's just it just seems surreal. I try to put myself in those shoes, and it's just I can't imagine what she would feel like. Let me see. Lolo, Maggie's sister feels bad because she told Maggie yeah, she does. She should go with Alex to visit with his dad. Yeah, and again, we talked about this the other day when I went live. I feel terrible for her for that. She did say that she talked Maggie into going, that was the right thing to do. And honestly, I would probably say that to my sister. Well, his dad's passing away. I know you guys aren't getting along the best, or maybe she was, trying for divorce or thinking of divorce. But you probably should go and just, this is your husband of X amount of years, the father of your two boys. You should probably just go and comfort him, or, just be there at least. I could see myself saying something like that. Nobody in their right mind is going to think that this guy's going to kill her or kill his nephew, kill her nephew. It just, you booted yourself out, Tamara. Thusu, do you think wives get to a point where they would be willing to defend their husband even after murder? Yeah, I think there would probably be some out there that would do that. Lolo, and his plan was never to take Maggie with him. He wanted her and Paul home to execute them. Exactly. People keep overlooking that point. He summons both of them there. Maggie never went anywhere with him. She didn't go visit his father like they were supposed to. She didn't go with him to visit his mother. That wasn't even in the plans, but that's what he did. And one has to wonder why. Well, if his dad was put into hospice, I would assume probably 9:00 at night be after visiting hours, but he could still go to his mother's home. I think when he went to his mom's, that Maggie and Paul were already dead. Some yes, one I know. Some yes. Oh, you guys are answering Thusu's question. Yeah, I mean, it's not even wives. It's you know, it's really anyone that's close to that person. Like, you could even talk about Buster at this point. Buster has one parent left. That's it. Family is wiped out. His dad's a double murder. His mother and his brother are murdered. You know, he has a high interest. It's in his benefit that his father get out of jail. Definitely in his benefit. I didn't find Buster's testimony to be really anything. More than a waste of time. It's clear that he's on his dad's side. But when you listen to the jailhouse phone calls, which again, I don't know if you guys have or not, but if you haven't, you should. Because like I was saying the other day, you can hear the frustration in Buster's voice when he's talking to Alec. But in the end, you know, he's always submissive to his dad in the end. Even though he seems frustrated with what Alec is trying to tell him to do or whatever, he still does it. He still says okay. He still placates his dad. Buster is 26 years old. Grandma, Buster's on the fence, isn't he? I don't know. I think that deep down Buster knows something. I think he knows things don't look good for his dad. And, you know, there's nobody on this planet that's going to know his dad better than Buster. He grew up in a home with him. He's going to know his father. And know how he is. So, again, it's in Buster's favor that Alec get out. But it's... I think it's a conflicting thing for Buster. I really do. Grandma, I think he defends his dad, but thinks he could have done it. Yeah, I think so too. Lolo, I think Buster knows, and to them, it was just good business. It had to be done. Yeah, I think I try not to judge Buster too harshly. Because when I think of BTK, the serial killer, BTK and his daughter, you know, now she, you know, very freely, openly talks about her father being a serial killer. But when she talks in the initial days, the first, you know, several days, weeks, whatever, of her being told by an FBI agent that her father was BTK, you know, her initial reaction was just, they have the wrong guy. And that was her mother's reaction as well. Like, you have the wrong guy. That's my dad's not BTK. I know this person. You know, and then BTK admits that he's BTK. So she says that, you know, her mother looks at that day as the day her dad died. And that's how she's gotten through it in her head, is just that he's dead. He died that day. That he admitted that he was BTK. But for her, you know, she's even said that to this day. I don't know BTK. Like, I know my dad. You know, that's who I know. I don't know this other guy. Even though BTK and her dad are the same person. So this has to be just extremely conflicting for someone. For all of the bad things that Alec Murdaugh did, I don't think that anyone would have truly suspected him of murder. You know, so, but I do think that there's just this, Buster has a weird look in his eye usually anyway, but there's just this weird look. You catch him in court sometimes, and he just has this look of, I know you did this, but it's just better if I toe the line and stand behind my dad at this point. And I just feel like that's where he's at. If one day he decides to, you know, speak out on it or something, well, we don't even know if the guy's going to be guilty or innocent yet. But if he's guilty, you know, you never know. Buster might do an interview in 10 years from now or something and talk about it. But I just think it's all around in his best interest to to not do that right now. So, Grandma, the lawyer coworker said that Alex was about to be in some huge trouble for money he took. Yeah, that was Mr. Ball. But when the murders happened, they planned on dropping the subject. Yeah, Mr. Ball. His paralegals also testified to that same thing. Tamara, I was going to stay away from this case, yet here I am. So I don't know as much as I should. That's okay. It's a lot. It is a lot, Tamara. Also, with the murders, the case against Paul for the boat accident would be dropped. Yeah. But that's the thing. I think that from what I'm understanding is that it still wouldn't be dropped, but I guess it is. I don't know. I'm confused on that because they were suing Alec and Buster and Maggie. But I don't know that they were suing Paul. So I'm not sure if they just dropped it because they're both dead. I'm not sure about that. And Tamara, listen, there's a lot to this case. It's as complex to me as the Vallow case. Very, very complex case. There's many different avenues you can go down with this case. So hang on just a second. Okay, so I just got some random message from one of my friends who says, FYI, mead is probably the most delicious alcohol on the planet and it doesn't make sense. What does that mean? I mean, what does that even mean? Anyway. Okay. So, Grandma is saying, I don't understand the boat lawsuit either. Why it would be dropped because Paul was killed. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Lolo. I'm sorry. Yeah, mead. Thusu. Is that how you say it? Mead? Isn't it called mead? MEAD? Mead is fermented honey with water, I believe. Yeah, listen, okay. This person keeps going on about mead. They're like obsessed at this point. Fermented honey with water. That actually sounds good. Anyway, we're off topic with this meat stuff. So, Tamara, you know what? The best thing you could do is watch the Murdaugh Murder podcast. You will get all up to date with this case. They have been investigating the Murdaughs since before the murders even happened. Tamara saying, for what I've learned and watched in the trial at this point, Alec Murdaugh is guilty in my opinion. I do think it will be a hung jury because there's reasonable doubt. Yeah, I'm worried about that, Tamara. I really am. I would love to see guilty verdicts for him just across the board. So my friend types back and says, I don't understand why more people don't drink it. It's like the nectar of the gods. Very descriptive person, okay? Very descriptive person. Oh, Lolo is saying at Tamara, I don't understand how there's any doubt with the phone data. Yeah, same. I mean, that is just so tight. Just because he has admitted that he was at the kennels, okay, in my mind, you're admitting to doing these crimes. You're telling me you didn't. So I suspect your friend is drunk. Maybe. Oh, wow. Yes, I think you're right because they're texting me back saying, because I said, where's mine? And they said, probably at the store because I drank all mine. So, yeah, it sounds like it. No mead for me, apparently. But anyway, with him being at those kennels at 8:44 p.m., he's even admitted that was him. He lied. He admitted that was him on that Snapchat video. He did not know was being taken. At 8:49, Paul and Maggie's phones locked screened for the last time. That was the last time those phones were active, opened up, anything. That's it. So anytime after that, they were probably being murdered. You want mead now? There you go, Lolo. So I prefer talking with you all than being drunk. No mead for me. I'm going to try some mead at some point. Tamara is saying Alec Murdaugh is over 6 foot and shot measurements are 5.2 to 5.4 is one to think about. Yes. That I think is going to definitely stick in the jury's mind as it has stuck. You're high on conversation, Thusu. Okay. But I agree, Tamara. I think that's something that is going to stick in the jury's mind. But it would make sense if he was on that golf cart and drove up and shot that way. Right? I mean, that would sort of make him that height. Or if he was holding the gun, not up in arms, but kind of down by his hip, upwards. Lolo, at Tamara, I'm thinking he knelt down, or he knelt down. But he's a big dude. He was. I mean, he was a big guy. 6'4". I mean, that's really big. And you see that in the pictures with the family. You know, he just sort of towers over everyone else. 5'2", 4", that would likely be a woman then. Grandma, okay, but who, if not Alex? And conspiracy to commit murder carries the same time as an actual murder. Thusu, who else could have done it? A disgruntled houseworker? No. There wasn't anyone else there. That's kind of the problem. There was no one else there. So it was Alec and Maggie and Paul. 2 of those people are dead. One of them's on trial for their murders. Kneeling down would be about a foot difference. Yeah. Maybe a couple feet difference. I don't know. I do think that is something that is going to weigh heavily with the jury. Is that testimony from the defense expert of how, you know, that they were shot that way, from those angles. But yeah, I could see Alec Murdaugh kneeling down. I could see him driving up on a side-by-side, or, you know, any of those things. I could just see him doing that. You know, and I almost want to say he was in a side-by-side or something like that, because I think that Paul was killed first. I think Paul was killed first, and I think Maggie was running. And so, you know, if he shot Paul and then ran up, or, you know, drove up on Maggie, shot her, killed her. Didn't she have tire prints on the back of her calf, insinuating that he potentially may have ran over her? Zach Ply, have to remember he was a prosecutor and knows the tricks to cause doubt. Yeah, exactly. Grandma, proving it was him and no one else is the crux of the issue. I agree, Grandma. Thusu, hey, Can we have a talk on astrology tonight too, like a bonus section of the stream? We'll do it now. If you guys want to know all the astrological signs of the people in this case, Alex Murdaugh, I hate to admit it, but he's a Gemini like myself. Just on behalf of all Geminis everywhere, we do not claim Alec Murdaugh. He's not in the club. We pulled his Gemini card a long while ago, but he is a Gemini. Paul was an Aries, and Maggie is a Virgo. A relationship between a Gemini male and a Virgo woman would be a very iffy one. A very iffy one. There would probably be a ton of things that a Gemini male would do that would irk the life out of a Virgo female. Now, Paul being an Aries is very interesting because when he called Paul a little detective, Paul's the one over here finding his stash of pills. That was in the text messages, Paul texting him and saying, hey, mom found your pills. She's really mad about it. You should call me. Stuff like that. I can see with Paul's age and him being an Aries, him being extremely wild and reckless and careless and all of those things. And also just like Alec having like ADHD, just being all over the place, everywhere at once. That would fit both of their astrological signs. I don't think that Maggie, being a Virgo woman, would like that too much. But if there's one thing about Virgo mamas, they are mother bears to the fullest. So I could see how she would not believe or even admit to believing that her son was behind the wheel of that boat. That makes sense to me, being a Virgo mother. Just saying no, even though there's a huge evidence that he was driving the boat. And then I can see just her and Alec most likely probably not getting along too well, other than money. Money would be really what would bind them and keep them together. Other than that, their personalities probably clashed greatly. Yes. And then Paul, I think that Alec did not like Paul. I think he hated Paul's recklessness, his carelessness, even though Alec himself was the same way. I think he despised it in Paul. I think he hated that Paul was finding him out all the time. As a Aries son and a Virgo mother, they most likely had a very close relationship, probably much closer than him and his father. So, the way I see it just astrologically with this case, Paul being very close to Maggie, most likely, probably on her side with most things, but not forgetting exactly where the hand that feeds him comes from, but probably resenting it as much as Alec resented him, and probably I would assume that Paul really got under Alec's skin probably a lot, with just his all overness, chaotic self, and I think that probably drove Alec crazy. He probably didn't like it. Paul was probably very difficult to deal with. This is just from an astrological lens. So, Lolo, part of Gemini's horoscope for the month, make sure you have everything handled on the work front before you go overboard with plans. Laughing my ass off. Oh, gosh. Grandma, you're not the boss of me, Paul. Yeah, exactly, Grandma. That would be an Aries, 22-year-old male's point of view is, you're not the boss of me. You're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. So everything that I've heard about Paul, it doesn't really surprise me. The way his personality is described, and I noticed a pattern with people when they were asked about Maggie, and this was even Alec as well. But when they were asked about, just who Maggie was, how she was, they really don't hesitate to go into saying, that she was a good person and she was like this or that. They don't really hesitate. But whenever they're asked about Paul, like, well, what kind of person was Paul? You always notice this hesitation with people where they're like, he was a little wild and crazy, or, he just hadn't found himself yet, and or he was a rambunctious boy, but he was a good boy. It's like they don't want to say anything bad. He's a deceased murder victim, but the reality is that he was, a chaotic, wild person. They just don't want to be bluntly honest, really. Thusu, what would be most compatible with a Libra? I would go with a Gemini for sure. Maybe an Aquarius if they don't get super weird, but I think you can handle that as well. The air signs are probably best for you. Fire signs are gonna really turn you on, like Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. But I would really stay away from the water signs or the earth signs, like water signs being Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer. And I would stay away from the earth signs, which are Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn. So, Grandma, and you can't overpower a Gemini. They need to be in control. Well, we don't like to be forced to do anything we don't want to do. That is for sure. I was looking at it like he's a Gemini, and I actually think his birthday's the day before mine, which really creeped me out. But yeah, I could see him being very, like, I would be really upset with my kid. You're about to cost me $30 million. I'm not planning their murder or anything because I'm not a psychopath, but I'd be really pissed off with my kid for sure. This is why we had to yank Alex Gemini card, because I can't really speak to this guy's character. I mean, I'm just not plotting people's murders because of all my bullshit that I did. It's just, I'm a Gemini. Yeah, I'm a Gemini. There you go, Thusu. I'm a Gemini. Thusu saying, I don't like dating women or having to be in control, though. Oh. I think I could tell that by your comments. So, I mean, that's pretty obvious, I would say. So, Grandma, he is a freak man. He doesn't qualify. Yeah, he doesn't. He can't be a Gemini at all. Lola, wasn't today the anniversary of Mallory Beach's death from the boat accident? Was it, Lo? Wow. See, I didn't even know that. Thank you for bringing that up. So today it was the anniversary. And he's on the stand. I really couldn't dislike Alec Murdaugh anymore if I tried. So what I mean is that women that are controlling are a turnoff for me. Okay. So LOL, what do you mean? Are my comments pretty telling? Yeah, your comments are pretty telling. Your comments are pretty telling. But, be who you are. Lolo, I'm a Libra married to a Scorpio. Wow. How's that go? You don't have to TMI it, Lolo, but I'm feeling like the sex part of your relationship is probably on fire. Or, listen, my best friend is a Scorpio, okay? She's hot, then she's cold. She's yes, then she's no. She's up, then she's down. I mean, this is her. So, like, I tease her all the time because, one day she'll want her significant other to be all over her. And then the next day she'll be like, oh my God, he's all over me. He's getting on my nerves. Like, God. I'm like, wait a minute. You just said yesterday that this is what you wanted. So she's like all over the place with that. And I tease her a lot about it. Is that not great, really? They do not go out with a Scorpio. Not great. Eee. Yeah, are they is your Scorpio like they just kind of like all up and over the place and all around? Like, I don't know. I just see that with my best friend. Or she's like, I want this, and then you give her that, and then she's like, no, wait, I want this. Thusu, are there signs that are more sexually active or satisfying? I would say there's probably signs that are more sexually active, sure. I don't know if you want me to like say those signs or not. I would definitely go with Aries. I would definitely go with Leos. I would definitely go with Libras. I would definitely go with Geminis. Just more higher sex drives than, let's say, a Virgo or even a Capricorn. I would just say that those signs would generally have a higher sex drive than the others. So, yeah, Sagittarius likes to get down to. Don't sleep on them. But the Scorpios usually have a high sex drive as well, but they just, probably at this. Oh. Anyways, what time is it? Oh, it's late. Thusu, wait, as a Libra, am I seen as more sexually active? I think I have a high sex drive, but I've never considered my astrological sign. Yeah, I would definitely put Libra in there for sure. With a high sex drive, yep, I'm going Libra for sure. So, Tamara, Libra. Grandma, are you doing tarot these days, Jess? No, not really, honestly. I haven't messed with my tarot cards in a couple of weeks. I don't know. A lot of things going on in my life, a lot of changes and stuff like that. So I just have been neglecting things that I don't normally neglect, but that's just how it goes sometimes. So anyway, I'm going to get off. We've gotten way off topic. You're trying to find love, Thusu? Lord, have mercy. Well, I don't know. Good luck. Anyway, I'm getting off. I will talk to you guys later. Bye for now.